association. Yeah, it was a contract. Part-time was
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Why did she leave?
Would everyone please stand for the pledge?
Paying her enough, I guess.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I never partake in this because I don't think
you
this
have
is
your
an
cell
appropriate
phone,
venue
please
not
silence
for that
them.
kind of thing. Well, that's true.
Establishment of quorum. We have 6 board members present. One vacant seat that will be decided at the March 13th special election. Okay, President's message. I would like to take this opportunity to thank both Shauna Kendall Radner and Teresa Picotti for their dedicated service to the community. Both of them played an instrumental part in the operation of the association during the last several years and helped with the renovation and refurbishment of the common area. I would also like to thank Mark Kantrowitz, the behind-the-scenes man who handles several different issues within the community, including Channel 63 content, newsletter content, website contact, all sound system setups, and a variety of other projects. I would like to welcome Jim Young to the board. He has hit the ground running and has already begun to immerse himself in his new duties. I want to thank the other candidates who ran for a board seat. It's extremely important to have community members who are willing to give their time and energy to make Coclewood Lakes a thriving place to live. On March 13th, we will have a runoff election to determine the 7th member of the Board of Directors. We must meet quorum at this runoff election, as we did for the original election. And I encourage every household to please return your ballot as soon as you receive it. Vote for only one candidate. Either mail your ballot to the office, drop it off at the office, or come to the scheduled meeting. Based on the number of candidates we have running for the board, the fact that we obtained quorum at the members' meeting, and considering the crowd who attended the recent show at Club Coco, I am encouraged at the number of residents who are participating in the community. The saying, the more the merrier, is very true, especially in Coclewood Lakes. Community get-togethers, meetings, and the use of the common area promotes harmony and community spirit. The Saturday movies, the ladies club, Club Coco, the pizza pool party are a few of the activities that will allow you to meet your neighbors. By attending these functions, we get to know our neighbors and become educated about the various interests within the community. Community spirits means pride in our community. It creates an emotion of equity that can set our community apart from other communities. We are all in this together, and we can accomplish so much more working together. Thank you. Okay, we have the minutes for the regular meeting of the board, January 21st, 2019.
Motion to approve as submitted.
We have a motion to have second. Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The organizational meeting for February 13th, 2019.
I make a motion to approve as submitted.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll now have the manager's report. Joey?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. All right, so tonight I'm going to highlight some of the January items for everyone. The board is going to discuss some of the more pending recent items over the last month, but I'm going to talk about January. As you all know, the second notice for the annual meeting was sent out and received by everybody. 30 violations were identified and notices were sent to those owners. Management also received 7 ARC applications in January. Those were reviewed by the ARC committee and the proper approval denial letters were sent to the owners. Management met with 3 window tinting vendors to remove and install the new tint in the fitness center. We put together a bid comparison chart, which we're going to discuss tonight. We also met with 3 pool companies that are here bidding to take over the maintenance of the pool and spa. We're going to discuss those.
We've already got it, so we didn't.
Yeah.
Roger, it'll work. It's working? Yeah, just press the button at the bottom. Hold it in for a second. Okay.
See all the discussion going on about Morris here, or you were to say something, Bruce would say, no discussion on the.
It's working
this
now. Treasurer's report for January. We had receipts of $130,762. I want to point out, this is when we collect most of our money in the month of January for the quarter. The budget number represents something from our, it's just a 12 monthly amount, so that 48,000 represents 1 month's worth of receipts. Late fees, $488, screening fees of $500, an NSF fee for $40, newsletter income $375, interest, total receipts of $132,212.74. Salary expense, $2410, electric, street lights, which are, I'm not going to read every number, which are within normal, water, sewer, trash, telephone, management fee was $99.67, legal expense $2,447. The next one is landscaping, which was all-season landscaping, and on a cash basis, we paid 3 months at one time, but there was only 1 month in the current general ledger. Lakes and canals was $1,033, pool spa $400. Our cable contract was $589. The next major item was office equipment, $569. That's the rental of the copy machine. Newsletter cost us $317. We took in $375, so we had a slight profit on that. So far, common area 118. Pool, that's our maintenance contract. Next major item was repairs and maintenance general, which was traffic striping supplies from Home Depot, landscape extras, all seasons. And we had total disbursements of $44,603. We put $1,250 into the reserves, so there were total disbursements of $86,359. Cash at the beginning of the month was $98,377. Cash balance at the end of the month was $185,335. Please remember, while it seems like there's a lot, there are 2 months where we get very little in receipts, and we're going to use that money to pay for our normal monthly bills. Cash this year was $185,335. Last year's cash was $163,584. So we're ahead there. Assessments this year were $108,051. Last year they were I think it's just the opposite. Last year was $108,051. This year is $49,675. That's money that people owe us. And our reserves this year are $108,051. Last year they were $82,429. These are all numbers that reflect the month of January. Yes.
Thank you, Roger. I have a question. You talked about our cash money,
Yeah.
and I just want to make sure that that's the money we carried over for unexpected funds from last year, maybe the legal document expense.
Some of that's been carried over. We also transferred some of that to reserves that we voted on last month.
All right. Next is Secretary's report.
We have 12 houses for sale, and 2 of the orientation interviews have been completed, and there's 1 upcoming. Everything is real quiet, And usually we have 14 houses for sale, but now we're down a little bit. I'm sure it's going to pick up as the season increases.
Thank you. Next committee reports, First Ladies Club.
Back to me. The next Ladies Club meeting is March 12th, and we're going to have 2 speakers, Tim Aman and Sue Rowe from the Arthur Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. And they're going to do a presentation, and it should be very informative, and of course lunch will be served. If you would like to come and are not a member of the Ladies Club, we only charge $4 for lunch and the program. So let me know, and we will be happy to have you join us. We did go last month. We went to the Sugar Harvest Tour, and that was one fabulous, informative tour. And hopefully we'll have other programs, bus tours in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, I'm sorry, but the food pantries are very down on food, and we are requesting that you donate food anytime you come to the clubhouse, 1 can or 1 jar of something or other, something that's non-perishable, and we bring it down to the Caring Kitchen, which provides services and food for Delray Beach. And the Ladies Club is a proud sponsor of the Caring Kitchen in Delray Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Entertainment Events Committee is...
This is by default.
Okay.
No one's here. Okay. Our show on Elvis was wonderful. There were almost 80 people here, and everyone had a fantastic time. He was very entertaining and amusing. The next thing coming up is our horse racing. That's March 23rd. And after that is our garage sale, which will be March 29th and 30th. The form is in the newsletter. You could fill it out or pick one up in the office. That's it.
I would just like to make a comment as a recent attendee to these shows.
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself thoroughly, but I have to compliment the committee on the decorations. I thought that it was so nice that you always decorate appropriately to a holiday or an event or something else, so my compliments.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next one is, I have it listed as the Movie Matinee Committee. However, we have a name change. It's now the Saturday Movies Committee. So, and just to let you know, they are showing 2 times on a Saturday, once at 2 and once at 7:30.
We have had an increase in attendance, which is nice. You were there on Saturday, so we had a very nice turnout for Crazy Rich Asians. I'm still running the evening as more or less an experiment. We've had a number of people who say they cannot make the matinee performances, so I put in the 7:30. However, the numbers have not been very good. We've only had 4 Saturday evening. But I'll continue it for a while and see if it can build up. The next movie will be on the 16th. Yeah, the 16th, which will be the rescheduling of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again sequel. That was originally scheduled in January, but that was the day after Arthur died. 2 weeks later, we'll be showing Bohemian Rhapsody. That'll be on the, 30th. On the 30th at 2 o'clock and at 7:30 again. And you saw won Oscars last night, so it should be quite an exciting evening. Coming up, we'll have, of course, the new song is Star is Born and W, the Wife, and so on. But they'll watch these schedules going through there. On Saturday, we'll be having the memorial for Arthur at 1 o'clock. If you knew him, you're welcome to come along. his family will be catering and providing a cold buffet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Okay, next item is the Art Committee.
Good evening. We had 7 art requests this time around. We've denied 4 of them. The owner, who was one of the denials, actually appeared in the clubhouse right after the meeting and showed that he had permits. So this was for replacement of roof shingles. He's doing the roof himself, but he has been issued a county permit. We denied it because we felt he didn't show permit, and we thought there wouldn't be any inspections, so we were concerned about code compliance and everything. But since he does have the permit, there will be inspections, and I would like the board to approve that tonight. It is for 6215 Hitching Post Way. He's doing the job by himself. He's using dimensional shingles. We actually have a copy. We saw the copy of the shingles. They comply.
Okay, I'll make a motion we approve that application. And a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
That's it. The rest we're going to do in the new business.
Okay. Under old business, there's no old business, but I do want to mention about the new auditorium chairs. We expected them to be here by now, but because of the Chinese New Year's, stuff isn't going to ship until March 1st, and we're not expected to receive them until after the 1st of April. I can tell you that Joey raised hell over this and got the vendor to refund us $400 for the inconvenience. Okay. Okay, now under new business, first one is consideration of suspension of voting use rights for all members who are more than 90 days delinquent in the payment of any monetary obligation due to the association. I make a motion to suspend. Motion. Yeah. This is just anybody that owes the association money and it's been more than 90 days and they haven't paid it, we're suspending their voting rights and the use rights of the town area. Motion to suspend voting use rights for all members who are more than 90 days delinquent in the payment of a monetary obligation due to the association, which includes the owners with the following accounts. Account number 6082, account number 6088, account number 14630, account number 14576, account number 14675, account number 14698, account number 14783, account number 14915, and account number D14537.
How many is that?
That's 9. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the audience? I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Motion and a second.
When you say their use rights, that means their access card will be invalidated until they pay off.
Yes, once they pay, the cards will be reactivated. Okay.
I just wondered if one of these accounts is a financial hardship, if they make a good faith effort to satisfy the debt.
We're required by Florida statute, any monetary amount over 90 days, once we suspend them, we cannot reinstate until the obligation is paid.
Things paid.
And then once, we have worked with people, once they've paid the obligation, if they need some help, for after that, we try to work with them. Got a motion and a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now next item on the agenda is pool maintenance We haven't been happy with our current pool maintenance company. Those of you that have used the pool have noticed the black spots and so forth and so on in the pool. So we have gone out for proposals. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we go with Chris Bella.
I guess all we're doing is stop.
Yes, Chris Bella Pools. You have a second? Okay. And a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
It just seems like Chris Bella is the least expensive choice, so I think that's great. Hopefully they'll be just
Sounds good. Okay, so it's actually a reduction. Okay, got a motion and a second. No further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the window tinting proposal. Just to let you know, if you've noticed the purple shade on the front of the clubhouse, it's from the age of the tinting. Yeah, we had our maintenance man that was here for January, part of January and December, try to scrape the old stuff off, and you could see he got 2 windows, I think 2 or 3 windows, yeah. So when we bid this, we required that they remove the old before they install the new. So that's where we're at. For a motion? I'm going to make a motion that we go with the Elite window tinting. Their bid is $1,150. The closest one was $1,650. So I make the motion we go with Elite window tinting. Got a second from Gene. Any discussion from the board?
Are the windows themselves, do they need any repair, the window casings?
I'm sure that eventually the windows do need to be replaced, as most of the windows do in this building. This will be a stopgap measure. We have received complaints from some of the people that have used the gym that it is quite warm in there with the air conditioner, so I think it's necessary. Yeah, right.
Why did we spend all that money?
Any further discussion from the board? Any discussion from the audience? Got a motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is amendments to the ARC guidelines. We're looking at redoing the color palette and also making some minor changes to the ARC guidelines. Gene, you want to?
So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the architectural guidelines as submitted, and once I have a second, I'll go and it's quick changes, I'll read them. Okay, so that's it. So there's not very many changes other than I managed to shorten this down from 15 pages to 12. And the first one will occur under architectural standards and guidelines, and there's no work is to be commenced prior to ARC approval. And then under fences, we added from our documents declarations, Article 5, which states architectural control, no resident fence, wall, or other structure shall be commenced, erected, or maintained upon the land. And I just felt, and the committee felt, that we wanted that added in so that as people were referring to the guidelines, they knew that we took the guidelines from our documents. Just so you know, the board has the right to promulgate guidelines and rules and regulations on a periodic basis or amend them therein. So that's what we're doing there. And then the next addition under that will be the hedge for the fence may not exceed 8 feet in height. The addition is but shall not be less than the height of the fence, typically 6 feet. And then the types of plants that you may use, we're taking out podocarpus, and we're adding clusia, viburnum, cocoa plum, or armicolas. And it shall be, when you do it, the replacement bush, if you're doing it along the rear of your property, shall be 6 feet and not exceed 8 feet. So we added the verbiage, be 6 feet and not exceed 8 feet. We have some homeowners who have planted the hedges, they haven't grown. And I hate to say this, they went and took the ruler and they were 4 feet. Well, they were actually just under 4 feet 3 months ago, and they're just now at 4 feet. So, I haven't done that. And the other, that was it for the guidelines.
You want to go each?
I want to do this first.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion, questions from the audience? Yes.
About the hedges, I have a question concerning those hedges that are dead. I mean, they're 6 feet tall, but they're dead. So what is the protocol with that? Is that
Well, if the hedges are dead and they're not going to come back and they're a required hedge, people will be required to replace them. If they're not a required hedge, then they'll just have to remove them because they're unsightly when they're dead like that.
Because there are some along the level clear that are definitely dead.
Those are the two, mostly the two that I was referring to, they're very unsightly. There's periodic property inspections. The manager usually does them. I accompanied her on the last round, and that's, if you remember her report, she sent out over 30 violation letters. So it's two people looking at them. Sometimes I go around and I'll check up on them, and then there'll be the follow-up. So just as a side note, that's why we still need a third person to constitute the violation committee, because if they don't fix it and the board is required to find, the recourse for the homeowner is the violation committee. And that's only on an as-needed basis.
By the way, when we were looking at the Florida statute, reference the voting rights and use rights, the statute does say we could suspend use rights for people that fail to comply with the guidelines. So that will be another area we'll be looking at in the future. Okay. So we got a motion, second. Mary?
Will that revised document be on the website that we can pull it?
Actually, by statute, Florida, or by our documents, we're required to mail everything out. So, you know, no, but it's yeah, we'll have to mail it.
Hence why I condensed it.
Okay. Yep.
Just a clarification, if we install a new hedge, the hedge itself must be at that time 6 feet?
Yes.
No, 4 feet. County
Yes.
code is 4 feet.
Because the county requirements for the hedge is not to exceed 8 feet at the rear of the house, and that's if you have like an outside, or 4 feet along the side of the house. I actually just read that today. So, and they recommend that because should there be a need, then, you know, to chase somebody, that's so they can get in and out, and also to maintain your visibility so they can see people in there.
On job, there's a new wooden fence.
We are aware of it and addressing it.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, a motion second. Any further discussion? No.
I've got
Yeah, well, just a second.
The houses, which one of mine is along right here on Eau Claire, the white fly issues and things like that, which I try to control, but if it gets out of control, what is the protocol then to replace that hedge?
You would have to, I think that, yeah, you'd have to submit an ARC application, and which would be approved. If you, what's that first plant that you? The Clusia is a very good plant for screening. If you go down Eau Claire to Winding, further north, that homeowner just replaced their small ones with, they're almost 6 foot now, and you can see how it looks. And within a year, you're going to have a screening that you won't hear anything from Eau Claire, very little.
No, but again, if you got to put a 6-foot hedge in place of it if it dies out?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we're looking at, because anything less than that, and it defeats the purpose of the hedge.
No, I agree. Yeah. It's just, you've got to get a hedge that's going to, now it's going to be a different hedge, so you're going to have different hedges along that road.
Unfortunately, we can't require people who have existing fences that are growing to replace them.
Right.
Hopefully, you know, the treatment of the ficus will.
Well, the ficus is obviously is a problem, and it's.
Yeah, you can't buy them anymore, and a lot of places are replacing them.
Yeah.
Are you using the Bear product in Home Depot?
Yeah. I have it, you know, next door. I see that other people are having the issue. Matter of fact, I treat mine, you know, I put it in the ground and treat it with the Bear. But somebody else's will spread, and then you have the same problem.
We'll try to put something in the newsletter encouraging people to treat their ficus, because if not, the expense for replacing them.
He's worried about it. He's not
Just for everybody's knowledge, there are 3 different types of whitefly. The original one has kind of aged itself out, and its natural enemies are taking it over. The second one is the spiraling whitefly, which if you look on the underside of the leaf, it looks like a little coil or like a little cloudy thing. And that's what most people are treating now. And the new one is a new invasion. I'm not sure if it's worked its way up to Palm Beach County yet. It is in Broward and Miami-Dade. So you can go to University of Florida, their IFAS department, and they will tell you what products are currently working on that. It's an easy search to search whitefly treatment, University of Florida.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's, because I've had it, didn't know it, and realized that even my palm trees in Broward got affected by a whitefly. So it's not just ficus, it's affecting
Some of
a
the
lot.
whiteflies and some of the other hedges. We've researched our hedges to make sure that they resist, and also the gumbo limbo trees are very prone to whitefly.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Oh, Roger.
Yeah. Well, do the same rules, excuse me, do the same rules apply to your backyard between 2 houses that are not on the street?
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the second thing is, after many months, many meetings, the Architectural Committee has come up with a new color palette. We were only going by the solid waste recycling paint program. We never actually had an accurate copy, and that program's been discontinued. So for our home paint and concrete colors, I'm just going to read the first page. The board members and the manager have picture copies. We found pictures were the only way to get the colors to reproduce, but we do have the names and the mix of paint. So the guidelines there is the Architectural Committee, over several meetings, carefully considered many paint colors and schemes. They decided on those presented herein. Also, it was the consensus of the committee that the door color should be left to the choice of the owner. However, the door color would still be subject to approval from the Art Committee. Please note that there should be at least 2 and a maximum of 3 colors selected for each home. The colors contained on the South SWA paint patches will no longer be valid, as these were a mix of different paints being recycled. There are colors from the major suppliers, Behr, PPG, and Sherwin-Williams. In fact, any paint dealer can match colors from any vendor. Home painting is recommended by most manufacturers every 8 to 10 years, with a pressure washing to be done mid-cycle. Hurricane shutters and gutter downspouts can only be white, ivory, or dark brown. And that was in keeping with what's already here. Some people, we've had requests for people to paint their gutters black. If you don't use the correct paint, it will start to peel almost within 6 months. So we left it with the current colors that are in the community. In the area of concrete stain, it is mandated that any owner who is approved to apply concrete stain must also use the shark grip slip-resistant additive in the concrete stain. So I'll just hold them up. They'll be in the office because I only had the one copy. I took the pictures. The pictures actually came out. So there were 5 colors from Bear. There were 5 colors from PPG. We actually got 6 colors from Sherwin-Williams.
Every 8 years.
And for the concrete stains, there were 5. So I make a motion to accept the paint palette as submitted.
I'll second it. Okay. Comments. I have a comment. Just to let everybody know. Architectural guidelines. If you choose to paint your house one of the colors in the architectural guidelines, you will get approved. So it's much easier just to come to the ARC with one of the colors on the palette. If you deviate from that, the ARC committee will listen to you, but you're more likely, because there's such a variety in here, that there's a good possibility you'll be denied. So try to stick with the palette that's approved.
What if you just want to repaint your house the same color? Is that right?
Currently, our guidelines do say that there's no requirement to get approval if you are painting the same color.
I missed that. That was one of the changes in our guidelines. All paint colors need to have approval.
Then I'm going to, then we're going to have to revisit that because I'm opposed to that.
Okay, well, let me say this about that. With the paint schemes, we were using the solid waste colors as we were going through the process because obviously we didn't like all the colors. If you come close, or it's your existing color and it's close to one of these, in all likelihood, we will approve it.
Okay, well, we either remove that section from the changes or I want to revote because if your house is already one color, we've allowed it to be that one color. I don't think we should be forcing people to change their color, especially if they still have 5 gallons of paint in the garage that matches the existing color. So I have a problem with that.
Usually you don't need to repaint your house for 10 years and the color that it is in 10 years is faded or
Unless
bleached
you
out.
have your original color swatch.
So
you can't use that paint because your house is faded.
Right.
So if you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to touch up this one wall, that won't work. Because after about 9 months, paint starts to fade.
that was why. I mean, if you say you're going to paint it white, white has a lot of different whites of the same color.
Okay, what are we going to do?
I think we'll leave it. The committee will meet again before the next board meeting, and let's revisit our guidelines on the next agenda.
So are we not, are we tabling the changes to the ARC?
I still hold my motion to approve this. Let the committee go back and revisit the guidelines. It's only 1 month.
The board was not aware of all changes when we made the vote. If we're going to...
Let me see if I actually made the change. If I didn't, then it's there. We didn't pull it out. The first thing is an application is not required to repaint or restain an object or structure to match the original color. This requirement applies to doors, shutters, strips, and other appliances.
Okay, so it's still in there?
So it's still in there.
Okay, then you guys can revisit it and want to bring it back to the board with the change, you can, but as of right now, it's not in there. Okay, so we're,
Stand approved.
yeah, so, okay, we got the paint palette. Any further discussion from the board? Everybody could see it. Any discussion from the audience? The architectural committee, based on what the standard has been in the community, chose these colors. These colors, like I said, if you want to paint your house one of these colors, you'll get approved. If you want to deviate from these colors, you can bring it to the ARC, and the ARC has the right to either approve or deny. Okay, so, yeah, Jack?
So does that mean if your house is out of that realm right now?
No, you're grandfathered in. Anything that's the way it is now is the way it is.
Applies to new painting.
New paint. Okay. Any further questions? Yes.
What if someone's house is not such a nice color? They could automatically paint it that color again?
We need to get this out. I think if we're going to mail this out, we need to put a notice in there. We've changed the newsletter to show that you must submit an ARC. In driving around and looking in this section behind the clubhouse here, over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, 4 houses have painted different colors that are not in our guidelines, and we did not receive an application from them. And I know this because there used to be only one greenhouse over there, and now there's 3 or 4. And there's also one very bright gold-colored house. Yes?
Question.
What's the protocol if these people just paint it?
They get a violation letter, and the violation letters give them a time frame and what the recourse is. And that's why we need the fining committee, because if the board needs to go ahead and fine, or if we reach that conclusion that we can suspend the use rights. However, not everybody comes into the clubhouse, so there needs to be some other recourse for the board to take. And we're not trying to be mean, but we need to have our guidelines. We're 400 homes, we need to have some guidelines.
Okay, Lou? Just a second.
Gene wants a firing squad.
I don't think anybody would disagree with the idea that too much bureaucracy for the sake of bureaucracy is silly, unnecessary. What I have in mind is, and I brought this up in the past, there's a contradiction in what was stated here from the board, and that is, if you follow the guidelines on the paint, you'll be approved. And at the same time, you said that if you paint your house the same color it is now, that's okay. I'd like to think that people have a right to take a chance and paint their house in a color they feel is appropriate and not risk being violated because they're not following guidelines because they first did not get board approval.
I'm a little surprised, Lou, because when you were on the board, you guys had a paint palette that you required people to follow, and now that you're not on the board, you want us to just let people paint their house yellow and purple and whatever color?
No. We had, when I was on the board, we made people follow the palette with the proviso that at the same time, if they wanted to take a chance, if they felt confident enough that they could choose a color that would be appropriate, but they guessed wrongly, and they took a chance. But I think that they should, if you're going to cite somebody for violation of standards or rules, it shouldn't be because they didn't first come to the board. It should be that they chose a color that was inappropriate, would not have been approved.
But that's what the documents say, and that's what you agreed to when you bought into an HOA. Thank you for your comments, I appreciate it. Gene?
Cut them off. You got dismissed.
We once had a beautification committee. In that committee, we had members who were artists in the truest sense of the word, who had made their livings as artists. And we also had the ability to consult people on the outside who were quite capable of making excellent artistic decisions. My question to you is, are you affording yourself of that same kind of artistic expertise in establishing this color palette?
I believe the art committee went to each, like Sherman-Williams, they have color palettes that match. Baird has colored palettes that match. If you know, I'm satisfied that the colors that have been chosen will fit this community, and people can paint their houses.
Well, the reason I'm asking that, I would say that they have a certain vested interest in presenting certain colors that they have, that they are promoting. What I am questioning is, do we have our own objective architectural and artistic people in this community?
I would not say that we have artistic, however, we followed the trends of the current, of the paint providers, the Sherwin-Williams, the Behr, the PPG. Over the course of time, color schemes change, what they recommend and everything. You know, there used to be people that was recommended paint your house pink. All of Boca Raton was pink, okay? It changes. What we did, we went through all the brochures. We had, what, about 15, 20 brochures? That's why it took us so long to do it.
I think maybe I'm expressing my point
No,
incorrectly.
I think you're very clear.
What I'm trying to say is that you want somebody who has an artistic expertise in terms of simply appreciating color. Never mind, I'm not talking about a professional or excuse.
Gene, I think we've chosen enough colors that will cover everybody's tastes, and we'll go. And if they're not happy with anything,
but I'm saying, but we have people in this community who are artists. Are we trying to use their talent at all?
We're satisfied with the colors. At least I'm satisfied the colors that were chosen meet the requirements that we need in this community.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
We'll actually put it out on the channel, on the website, when we mail out the architectural guidelines. I don't know how we're going to get this to translate. It's going to have to be.
It'll be. We'll have it posted out here. Anybody can see the color palette. It'll be here.
I can scan it into the website.
It doesn't scan. I have the JPEG images, and so I'll email them to you. I took pictures of all of these, and when I sent them to Joey, she saw it, and nobody else.
You have the names of it, right?
They have the names of it, yes. We have a weathered moss, jungle camouflage, which is a green. We have pottery wheel, which is a deeper red base brown.
Well, there's a large variety to choose from. Yes, Mary.
I think what Gene is trying to say is to get the community involved, and the community could have been involved by joining the art committee. I mean, that was brought up at one of the meetings. You know, those people interested would be able to be on that committee.
Absolutely.
So I think you're trying, you're trying to do that. Whether people.
I don't think people will be dissatisfied with the colors in the palettes. There's a wide variety.
Whoever wants to paint the right thing, they'll be upset.
Yeah. All right, I got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Mark, I'll send you the JPEG images so you can put them up on the website.
Okay, next item on the agenda is declare table surplus and authorize disposal. As everybody here can see, we've got a bunch of the old tables leaning against the wall in the back. We want to dispose of them. When we disposed of some previously, we went on Craigslist and somebody gave us $5 a table. What we'd like to do is offer them first to the community. We'll put a notice on the website and on Channel 63, and give the community an opportunity to purchase them. I would say at the same $5 that we got rid of them last time for, And then whatever's left over, we'll see if we can get them off Craigslist or something. So I make a motion, we dispose of the tables and, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? Discussion from the audience?
Yeah, I'm known as Queen Recycle in my law firm. Habitat, can we donate them for Habitat for Humanity?
If we, well, yeah, we'll try to, what we'll first do is give the community an opportunity, then we'll get a Craigslist for an opportunity, and then if we don't get that way, we won't just throw them in the garbage, we'll contact
I want to read the riot act to him. Yeah, why did you get elected?
I think there's going to be a tag sale coming up, so possibly put them in the tag sale.
Yes, give me
The problem with that is we have to have somebody manning
Of course. That's
the clubhouse, you know, so we need a volunteer to spend the day here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the community should have the first crack at it.
Perhaps when they put the advertisement up on the tax sale, that committee can also put a mention in there that there are surplus tables and give the office phone number for that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we had to have one of the pieces of gym equipment repaired. And how much was that one, Jim?
$274. I make a motion to authorize the repair of the treadmill.
Got a motion and a second. This has already been done. We're just ratifying this. So motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have the ratification for the runoff election expenditures, which was,
I make a motion that we approve this to be paid from postage. We'll work on it as we get close to budget. So $1388.03 from postage.
okay. We got a motion and a second. Again, it's already been done. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the auditorium sound system upgrade, stage light upgrade, and projection proposal.
Okay, this was a fun exercise. And I got Bruce to agree to at least let me start the footwork on this when I was here for the trio of ladies that performed for us. And we had major crackle on the speakers. It was rather embarrassing as a board member to have our entertainers come and not have a good sound system. So I went out and I found 3 vendors who could provide us what we needed. I did get 3 proposals, however, only one came and did a demo, and only one, actually the same one, provided the proposal according to the requirements, and that was because we're a board and we tend to be frugal sometimes, to split the proposals out, one for sound, one for lighting, and one for a new projector that'll be mounted somewhere up here so that poor Tony won't have to climb over the wires or anything. We met with this one vendor that we were interested in. He came back and he did another demo for us. He explained his equipment. He came in with only 1 speaker and a small amplifier, and I guess everybody that was here was impressed enough to say they'd like to go forward with it. So with that, I would like to make a motion. I get it. God, I need my wine. I'd like to make a motion that we go with sound planning to provide the new sound system, which uses iPad or Android technology, includes speakers, monitors, microphones, amplifier, receiver, equipment rack, wiring and installation, and room equalization. He will come in and balance all the sound to the room. And he will also train the people, because we will not be using the sound booth anymore once we get through the entire project. So it can be controlled from an iPad or a Windows 10 laptop. So I included the price in there for also, it was requested that we add a subwoofer. So that price comes to $9,922. That will be done from the Clubhouse Improvement Fund. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion. You have a motion and a second. Now have discussion. Ward?
You said that the sound equipment would, that's not right. What would the iPad be used for, the sound equipment?
It's actually nowadays, you don't have the sound desk anymore. We don't have a need for that big sound desk where you do that. So you'll actually, the sound part of it, you will turn it on, and it'll be stored on a rack over here, and everything will work.
What is the iPad?
The rest of the iPad and will be for the lighting. We're getting to the lighting and the projector separate.
Yeah, but on the iPad, like up here in the booth, we have a board that you can adjust sound and so forth on it. This eliminates that board. You'll do all that on the iPad, and you'll control the different sounds, the different basses, the different trebles, right, Mark? Is that correct? And that's why it's controlled by iPad. You don't have to buy that additional equipment.
So the iPad is included?
No, we will have to buy either an iPad, Android tablet, or a laptop. But it can all be controlled from that, and the training will be provided. But nobody will have to climb up in there anymore. Like I said, this is a 3-phase project. We're just presenting the sound portion first. It's 3 parts to the entire project. But once you engage the system, it'll be on a rack similar to what Tony uses for his movie thing. Okay, well, all you have to do is go in there and turn it on and come out with the microphones. Because we did put in all new microphones, and no offense to Mark, I know he got these for us.
No, I
But the guy came in and he goes, well, first of all, if I don't see a name on the microphone, I'd be very wary of it. And you get all the interference. And he was very technology oriented, and he said, so much in the air today, wireless and everything, that you could get interference from traffic outside.
Just to let you know, this company's been here
In
in South Florida since
1972.
Yeah, so they've been around a while. Okay. Any discussion from the audience? Mark?
Okay, I like the sound, but, and I don't think you need to buy an iPad because it can be used on your cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, yeah. What it is there's a piece of equipment going to be somewhere in the back that will have, it's a router, and you connect to that router through your cell phone. Instead of connecting to the Wi-Fi here, you would connect to that. I'm assuming, I didn't ask him, but I'm assuming it's password protected. So if you have a password, you'll be able to connect to it. And then you have a little soundboard on your cell phone, and you'll be able to move the controls for the different channels up and down and, enable and disable.
He did say that could be done. However, I think it would behoove the association to acquire one piece of equipment so that you don't have anybody sitting in the office, because he did say there would be a conflict if 2 people were trying to access the system at the same time.
There's not a conflict.
And that was only for one portion of it. So I'm also looking when we get through the other portions.
I think some of it may have to do with ease of use. Some people have difficulty using the small screen of a cell phone to operate it. I think once we get the equipment in and we can look at it, then we can make a decision on whether
The laptop's not for this portion anyway.
I just think that it's a logistical problem having an iPad, securing it, keeping it locked up, keeping it from not being broken.
When we get to the
when
second
it's not necessary, when you all you need is your iPhone.
I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Tony, do you want to come up and, Tony was part of the demo on Friday, as was Mark, because we wanted to take into consideration, you'd be able to use it.
Yeah, the equipment that he brought is excellent. The speakers that he chose is Electro Voice. They've been in business since the late 1920s. And when I talked my family into going into the hi-fi back in 1951, the first speaker that we got was an Electro Voice Patrician, which is about that big, about that wide, and weighed a couple 100 pounds. The speaker that he brought here is designed for auditoriums and is voiced for speech primarily. We're adding the subwoofer because it does, being voiced for speech, it does not include the lower octave of sound. That's the boom you get in the movies. They will be mounted above these picture frames rather than up in the corner. When they're part of the mounting, we'll be voicing it and for the auditorium. That's part of the balancing that they're talking about. The equipment will be in the storeroom rather than out here, so it will be inaccessible to the general public. I do recommend going with the pad. I'm sorry, Mark, I disagree with you on that.
That's actually for the next part.
Yeah,
not
whatever.
the sound system.
I couldn't control it from this little thing.
Are you gonna give an upgrade?
There are,
I like my dumb phone.
I'm also suggesting that, and as we approve this, that if you acquire one piece of equipment, then you don't have different people running around trying to do this. And because down the road, we've had many discussions, and we're gonna, I think, move forward to it, to rent this room out to the public for parties. You know, that's not for this meeting or anything, but to generate some revenue and realize return on investment. So that's down the road a little bit.
And the equipment that he chose for mixing is all top quality stuff. I was amused to see one of the items listed was the Crown dual channel power amplifier. I have when I had my record label back in the 60s, I used Crown. In fact, I have a Crown professional tape recorder sitting in my garage. It doesn't work, but it's 95 pounds of professional equipment. And they are excellent all the way through, very reliable all the way through. As I said, I recommend getting the pad and incorporating into the rack a locked box to keep it in there. So that way, you know, if you're coming in and doing something on the weekend, you don't have to worry about getting
Yeah, I have some cables, locking cables that I'll donate to the association.
Yeah. And did you want to go into the video or anything?
We'll go that.
We're only doing sound right now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tony. Okay, I got a motion second. Any further discussion from the board?
What happens to the old equipment?
I asked about that in my initial meeting with him, and he said it's so outdated that the PIMI speakers that are up here and the monitors were typically used for garage bands. And that, you know, they can't be controlled other than from the sound booth or anything else like that. One of the vendors who came in, actually the other two, looked in that sound booth and literally shuddered. Sorry, Mark, I mean, I know you inherited most of that, but literally shuddered. And I look in there and it's really scary because it just reminds me of a pit full of snakes. Because when you look in the door, if you look underneath, all you see is black wires. And I'm concerned now for fire hazard.
Okay. Any further discussion from the board? Any further discussion from the audience? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next part of that is the overhead projector. So we wanted so I asked Tony what he needs. He gave me his minimum requirements, and the vendor came back with much more than that, right? The lumens, which is the brightness and everything. So that's the part that requires the laptop or the iPad. Because what it is it's an app that comes up on your computer. It only works with Windows 10. That's where the laptop comes in. It only has to be a Windows 10 for that. And it's all wireless and everything else. So actually, at the end, what our thing is, Tony should be able to go in and drop his DVD, hook his laptop in there, or use the laptop, drop the DVD, push play, and be done. And it has a remote and everything else. So
You making a motion?
I'm going to make a motion that we go with sound planning for the Optima 5500 HD projector. It includes a drop ceiling mount, wireless HD video system, which requires a Windows 10 laptop, high definition cables, labor, wiring, and the screen, we're going to use our current screen. He actually said he would have proposed this screen to us, just a little bit bigger. But he said for the size of our room and everything, because Tony was nice enough to have an image up there for him, and he said it was sufficient. That is for $47.42, but I'm going to say plus the cost of shortening the valance on the stage theater. Remember, because you don't know if that's going to be done. So $47.42 plus, I'm guessing about $300. About $500. So 52.
That includes the cost of the laptop on top of this.
Yes.
Initial.
And the
Okay.
cable. So $5,300 to be paid for from the reserves. $5,300. Because we took the first one, I spread it out evenly. For the sound system will come from common area improvements. This one from, because this is structural, you know, it'll be up there. They'll set the projector up so it'll always be in focus. There won't be any vibration to get it out of focus.
Got a motion and we got a second?
You can
No, second it. Okay, discussion. I just, if any of you ever come to the movies, it's tough sometimes for Tony because the rack is right here and you have to sit on either side of the rack, so you're looking at it at an angle, whereas projection up, you can sit directly at it and get a good view. So, and also this projector can be used for other things such as the board meeting, or when we do the budget, we can post it,
once a year.
things like that. So,
Once a year.
Or we could even put some, we could encourage our manager to do it. We can put like all these proposals. When we discuss them, we see them here, but they could be projected. That's always been done, and I think Joey was kind of enthusiastic about that. So it, all in all, and it handles the keystoning, which is where you get the trapezoidal thing. It'll handle that, so you won't have any of that.
so I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board?
Mark, can an iPad have Windows 10?
No.
Oh, no, it cannot.
It has to have a Windows 10 laptop.
Okay, so you need an iPad and a Windows 10 computer. Now we're talking to the budget.
No, we don't
No,
need
no,
that.
we'll just,
We do it, we
yeah,
can do it all from a Windows 10 laptop.
no further discussion from the board. Any discussion from the audience? Tony?
Three.
The projector, the Optima, is one of the top ranked ones. And some people may have raised an eyebrow, but what we're getting for this price is a very good bargain all the way around. Being mounted from the ceiling, that will eliminate a lot of the distortion. It's called keystone effect when you're projecting at an angle. Because even the best of them, no matter what you do, you're still not going to get the clearest possible image up there. And if you're going to be projecting your proposals there, then it will be legible all up and down the screen. I still put in a request for a bigger screen because if you look at it, any guideline for television, you go by the width of the screen and you make a perfect triangle, and that would put you right there.
This screen, he actually said is a 16.9, you know, 16.9.
Yeah, it's the right ratio, but we need, it really should be a big, the bigger screen.
It
that
would have
was-
only been a foot bigger. and he would have motorized it, it's $12,000. Let's
okay.
talk about it next year.
Okay, well, put it in for a thought. I think, Bruce, you saw that bigger wouldn't be bad. And, but the rest of it is all excellent equipment all the way up and down the line. And I didn't mention it when we were talking about the sound, but the microphones that will be used are Sennheiser mics, which are top of the line, and that's what I used also in the recording, when I had a recording company. They were used for voice. I used telephone and microphones for orchestra, but for voice it was Sennheiser.
Thank you, Tony. Any further discussion from the audience?
I'm wondering when I hear you talking about it's being tied to Windows 10. As a person who has been with computers from the 1950s, I can tell you now that things change more quickly than you can believe when it comes to computers. That what is considered today is modern and wonderful with the Windows 10. I can promise you within the next 2 years, will be completely different. There are innovations coming down the pipe right now.
Gene, correction. Microsoft said there will not be another Windows. Windows 10 is the last Windows we're putting out.
Well, they're not going to come out with a Windows 10. They're going to come out with something else. You can be sure of that.
Yeah, well,
However, remember that the equipment we're installing will run on a Windows 10 computer. He did tell us it has to be a native Windows 10, which means you have to buy it with Windows 10. You can't upgrade a laptop to Windows 10. So we took that into consideration. I did some shopping on laptops today and everything. We've included that in our pricing. I'm with you. I've been using computers since the inception.
You know what I'm talking about.
But remember, the equipment we're buying will run on a Windows 10 computer.
Right.
Okay. So the equipment isn't going to automatically update to wannabe 3010. It's just going to be a Windows 10.
Yeah, we'll have the Windows 10, and it'll have the Windows 10, and so it'll always interface with each other. You know, well, I understand there may be other operating systems in the future, but it'll the one we're getting is going to be maintained under 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the last one.
Let me do the last part, and we'll. All right, the last part of that was to upgrade our lighting system here. So we're not entirely set on that yet. They've proposed some very good lights. I believe there is a vendor locally. I'm going to call them in the morning and see if they have it, and if they have one up and running at the store, and we don't have to go together, but individually the board can go look at it at their convenience. And that was, it would take away 3 of the 4 bars. It would provide just down lighting for the stage, and then these would be multicolored 10 to 60 projections. So you could either get very small spot, or at 60 you get more diffused light. And each fixture is multicolored. So that also requires use. You can go on there and make the lights flash or stay on or change colors midstream. That cost is projected at about $7,000, but I am going to motion that we table that until we complete our investigation.
I second that motion. The motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion's tabled. Okay, number 12. All expenditures approved at this meeting comply with the CWL conflict of interest policy.
Question.
We're done.
I can't say anything?
We're done. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn at 8:14.
You can't say something.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I'm saying, why is that there? It's like Nixon saying, I'm not a crook.
Yeah.
I mean, we assume that they're doing everything they're supposed to do.
Did you see this?